Picture this, a Detroit winter night, snow swirling outside Ford Field like ghosts of seasons past. The hum of the crowd rising before kickoff. There's this vibe in the air thick, electric a feeling that something mighty is shifting beneath the surface. It ain't just the usual off-season whispers, nah. This is a seismic tremor rattling the bones of the Motor City faithful. You lean in, squint through the cold, and hear it in the murmurs. Wait did you hear about that move? The one everyone thought would never happen in our lifetime? Yeah, the Lions we who've trudged through heartbreak, who've seen promise snatched away like a flickering street lamp in the snow or cooking up something wild. This isn't just about flipping the script. It's about rewriting the playbook with a savage Detroit grit that Dan Campbell preaches on the sidelines. And sure, if you're rocking your Honolulu blue on a harsh January afternoon, ready to brave the chill and roar loud enough for the Great Lakes to hear, then this story's for you. Brace yourself, because what's coming could shake the NFC North to its core. Now, here's the scene. You know the defense has been building steam, the kind that makes you believe maybe, just maybe, this is the year the Lions' front seven doesn't bow under pressure. Remember the heartbreak of 2022's playoff race? The missed chances that felt like they froze in your own backyard? Yeah, that pain's been the fuel fire for this offseason silent revolution. And this revolution isn't just a rumor on a dingy Detroit street corner. It's about to names in particular, Curvy Joseph and Brian Branch. But hold on, because before we dive into those numbers that will make your jaw drop, I need you to imagine the crowd at Ford Field, the roar, when those two are flying around the field, carving through offenses like a hot blade through ice. It's a revival. It's exactly the weaponry the Lions need to keep the scoreboard ticking and opponents sweating. And let's be real, if you're a Lions fan, you know defense has often been Detroit's heartbeat. But lately, oh, it's a monster. Curvy Joseph, that ball hawk, has turned pick six fantasy into a true-to-life thriller. 9 interceptions last season, yeah. You heard me, more picks than anyone else in the entire league. Locking down passes, smacking down plays. He's not just a safety. He's a football clinic wrapped in muscle and instinct. He snagged 83 tackles, knocked down a dozen passes, and found his name etched on the first-team All-Pro list. That kind of dominance doesn't come cheap. Detroit shelling out $86 million over for years is a serious bet on a defense that says, bring your best, we'll steal it right from your hands. And if you think that's the pinnacle, wait until you meet his partner in crime, Brian Branch. The kid exploded onto the scene faster than a rush hour on Jefferson Avenue, racking 109 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 16 passes defended. Pro Bowl, check just in his second year. And you better believe Lions brass are already fine-tuning how to lock him up for top dollar before any other team sneaks in. That's a duo that could run wild for the next decade, no exaggeration. But here's the streetlight flicker in the storm while the defense is crafting a fortress. The offense's heart keeps beating on shaky legs. Jared Goff, the man, the myth, the necessity, is the Lions' quarterback linchpin. Scratch that. He's the keystone holding up the whole damn season. And if he goes down, the blue and silver dreams face a swift and harsh unraveling. Backup QBs have been a revolving door of hope and disappointment. You think anyone out there behind Goff inspires confidence? Past few years say, now remember, Teddy Bridgewater, David Blau, Tim Boyle. The names change, but the story's the same: shaky, unreliable, and hell-bent on giving Campbell a headache. This year, Kyle Allen started a Hall of Fame game with 2 picks before halftime seriously, and then Hendon Hooker took over, completing just half his throws with another pick. The crowd's patience is wearing thinner than the ice on the Detroit River come February. Now, here's where it turns into a barside secret whispered over a cold one. Kenny Pickett, the name you know from Steelers lore, once heralded but stuck in quarterback limbo, might just be Detroit's wild card. The Browns have a quarterback excess problem. Joe Flacco, rookie's coming up, and Pickett squeezed out without much runway to grow. And the chatter's growing louder, maybe for a modest price, say a day 3 draft pick. The Lions could swipe him off Cleveland's hands. That's not just insurance anymore, that's survival. Detroit's future MVP might be someone who's already battled the NFL trenches but hasn't found a home. The step up, a backup who can actually back up. Think about it: Brad Holmes snagging AQB with starting experience. Someone who's shown flashes, but never the full Detroit spotlight. It's low risk, high potential, and let's be honest, betting on more backup drama feels more nervous than a snow-covered I-75 on a Friday night. And just when you think the story can't get any wilder, There's the real jaw-dropper, the fantasy blurring into possibility. That Brad Holmes might just swing for the fences with Micah Parsons. Yes, that Parsons, the Dallas Dynamo, the edge rusher nightmare for any offense. A guy who can turn a pocket collapse into a Detroit roar in seconds flat. No, this ain't some offseason fever dream. The Cowboys are running up against hard caps. Parsons wants every cent he's worth. And Detroit already preps to make Aiden Hutchinson a franchise cornerstone. Imagine those two blazing off the line together, a seismic shift in pressure. A chess move straight out of Motor City's Revival Handbook. But here's the rub, the cost. We're talking multiple first-round picks and the future of Williams. Branch, Gibbs, Campbell, and Laporta could be on the chopping block. It's a gamble huge enough to either catapult us into Lombardi talk or leave cap headaches for years. But hey, Detroit's heart is built on tough calls and bigger dreams, so here we stand. The defensive wall rising, the quarterback room the glaring question mark, a trade whisper with potential to flip Detroit's postseason script and maybe forge a dynasty. The clock's ticking, Brad Holmes holds the pieces, and we, the fans, are bracing to see if the Lions dare to risk everything. Will they bite on Pickett, commit to locking down Branch and Joseph for good, or gamble all for the Parsons shockwave? The coming months could reshape the heart of the team, the soul of Detroit football. What happens when the Lions unleash a defense so fierce it devours opponents' hopes? How does the QB carousel spin to steady the offense and silence the doubters? And which pieces move first on this jungle chessboard? Keep your eyes sharp, your blue and silver pride locked tight, and your voice ready to rise. Because this season isn't just a game, it's a reckoning. Tonight, as the city sleeps under the Detroit sky, a question hangs there, cold and clear. What if the Lions don't just roar, but become the nightmare every rival fears? The answer might be closer than we think. This city's heart beats louder now, pounding as you imagine Holmes in that war room, eyes gleaming over the chessboard of trades and draft picks, knowing damn well the weight of every move could carve our legacy or shatter it like glass in a Detroit winter storm. And here's where it cuts deep. Rumors swirl that those close to Holmes whisper about the possibility of pulling the trigger on a trade for Micah Parsons, the edge rusher who's practically a human earthquake fast, furious, relentless, turning Ford Field into an arena of chaos. A strategic nightmare for the NFC North, especially when the Cowboys' cap situation is a mess, and they're desperate to shed some of that monstrous rookie and veteran salary cap weight, which makes the idea of a multiple first-round pick haul suddenly plausible. Imagine Holmes slotting Parsons alongside Hutchinson, creating a front seven so ferocious no offensive line would sleep comfortably, and the fear in Green Bay's eyes when they see that duo line up because, let's face it, the Lions' last playoff push in 22 felt like a whisper in the dark, just a flicker of hope that got snuffed out by turnovers and inexperience. But now, we're talking about flipping the script entirely. What if Holmes, tired of the incremental rebuild, pulls off the big one, risking the future of Williams and Gibbs, gambling that Parsons' rush could elevate every other player's game, that his presence on the line makes a game-changing difference, while quietly, the locker room wrestles with the idea that this isn't just about now, but building a dynasty yet. For that to happen, one major piece has to fall. Would Holmes dare offer Cleveland a third-rounder for Pickett, betting on a quarterback who's already shown flashes of brilliance, but can't get a fair shot behind that Browns O-line? And more ominous, what if the NFC North gets wind of the deal with Green Bay or Minnesota, panic and make a counter move, or worse, try to sabotage our plans, knowing that Detroit's already committed to this aggressive, never-say-die approach? Because remember, Detroit's history isn't kind of players or coaches who bet big and fail. Think of the 0-16 season, a scar that fuels every bold play call, every offseason gamble that Dan Campbell and Holmes have pushed forward, refusing to accept mediocrity and instead striving for a legacy built on grit rather than grace. So, when the Lions start making calls that could send shockwaves everywhere, the question becomes, what's the line Holmes won't cross? Will he gamble the future of Jared Goff's prime, who, despite all, is still the soul of this resurgence, for a shot at the elusive Lombardi? Or will he sit back, gamble on keeping the core intact, and settle for incremental gains while the NFC North watches with bated breath? But the true nightmare begins when those whispers of Parsons' potential arrival become more than talk. They turn into a reality, and suddenly, the Lions' defense, already a nuclear option, becomes an unstoppable force with a new game-changing operator on the edge. Think about it. with Parsons and Hutchinson rushing from opposite sides. Quarterbacks won't even have a moment to breathe, and the ripple effects would force NFC rivals to reconsider their entire approach, do they? Double team Parsons, leaving Hutchinson free for a sack? Do they start blitzing more, risking coverages that might blow wide open? The entire NFC North would panic, wondering if they're about to face a Detroit blitzkrieg that's more nightmare than fantasy. Awakening memories of their own past failures, remember. Those heartbreaking losses, the near misses, the last-second collapses that haunt the league's collective dream of a Detroit turnaround. And yet, amid all this chaos, the real story remains the raw, driving passion of the Lions faithful, clutching their tickets and their hopes, willing every gamble Holmes makes, praying that this isn't just an off-season fantasy, but a blueprint for a team that finally, truly, owns the narrative. So, as Holmes prepares to make the call that could redefine Detroit's future, whether it's swinging for Parsons or sealing the defense's core, one question lingers in the cold Detroit night. Will the city truly embrace the chaos if it leads us to glory, or will it scar us with one more costly gamble in a history soaked with heartbreak? Because right now, the clock's ticking, the roster's on the line, and Holmes' next move will either set Detroit on a new path or leave the Lions, once again, chasing shadows under the iconic Detroit sky. So listen close, because the season's most brutal question isn't just about talent or cap space, but whether Detroit's soul is finally ready to swing for the fences, risking everything to become the nightmare that every NFC opponent fears, or if this all ends with another heartbreak, another season of promise dashed in the snow. That's the true gamble we're all about to witness unfold, and the only thing left to ask is, are we brave enough to see it through?